afternoon, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and I've got a detailed forecast update on the tropical low situation outside of the Coral Sea, with this storm here that is forecast to then eventually go on and impact Vanuatu. Now, we do have a very broad area of low pressure beginning to develop here into the Solomon Sea. It's outside of the Coral Sea and is no threat to the Australian mainland, but considering how local it is to Australia, I thought it was still worth a mention, and it is going to be impacting a couple of our South Pacific neighbours. So this system is forecast to track down towards the south. It's then expected to bypass Vanuatu, moving just towards the east of the island nation, and then moving it out towards Fiji as we get up to about the 17th and the 18th of December. This storm is expected to become a tropical cyclone at one point in its lifespan, or at least attain tropical cyclone force winds. It's still a bit doubtful as to whether or not it'll actually attain full tropical cyclone status, but it could be bringing enhanced wind gusts and also some significantly enhanced rainfall to parts of Vanuatu in the next week or so. So let's talk about this system's current forecast right now. A very messy and disorganized system, very broad in nature, which means a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity is spreading out through the South Pacific, and this is expected to increase tonight into tomorrow. Now, by tomorrow evening, we are expecting a solid area of low pressure, capital of the Solomon Islands. This low pressure system is expected to develop just towards the north of Vanuatu and then track down towards the south-southeast throughout the course of Friday night into Saturday morning and out towards this weekend. You can see all the whilst it does that, it is going to be strengthening and organising very on Sunday the 14th of December. It's likely to bypass Vanuatu and just outside of Fiji as a weak tropical cyclone sometime on Sunday the 14th of December, skirting down to about Port Vila on early Monday morning, and then moving out into the Pacific Ocean once again between Vanuatu and Fiji on the 16th of December, Tuesday that being, where it is then expected to terminally weaken off once wind shear gets a hold of the system and rips it apart. It could get to Category 1. High is unlikely at this point in time, and the good news is, compared to yesterday's forecast, which had this storm skirting over Vanuatu, it now has it a little bit further out to sea and then bypassing down towards the Fiji area, which means this system is going to be less of a rainmaker for Vanuatu, and that's why the rainfall forecast has been bumped down a little bit for Vanuatu. But still, some significant rainfall accumulations are a possibility inclusive, and you can see some of these numbers do start to get quite big. One band of rainfall, one train or one shower train to move through, and that is going to result in some big time triple figure rainfall accumulations. The most likely to place pick up some significant rainfall accumulations is going to be on the northern coast of Fiji. Suva should be spared of the heavy stuff, but you can see some locations into the northern coast of Fiji could be looking at 100 to 125 millimetres of rainfall, increasing to 150 millimetres or even up towards 200 millimetres. Some minor flooding through parts of Fiji. They're built for this type of rainfall, but it's still possible that we may see some flooding as a result. This system is less of a concern compared to what the forecast was suggesting yesterday, but still around this system's core, we are expecting some half-decent rainfall accumulations between 100 to 250 millimetres and isolated falls to 400 millimetres, and monitor this situation. Wind gusts are also going to be significant around the system's core as well. This is a map called Wind Accumulation over on windy.com, which highlights the strongest wind gust in the selected time frame. Again, Saturday through to Tuesday, inclusive over a 4-day period. You can see our strongest wind gusts are approaching 70 knots or 125 kilometres an hour in a few spots, between about 30 to 40 knots, maybe increasing up to about 50 knots depending on how close this tropical cyclone does make passage. Now, parts of Vanuatu, particularly the capital of Port Vila and also Luganville, are built for these types of wind gusts, but still, we are talking about some strong wind gusts that could cause damage to poorly built property and homes, so we will be monitoring this situation closely. There's also a cruise ship leaving Port Vila on the 18th of December, but this system by that time is expected to be south of Fiji in the graveyard and will be ending its life down here. And once this cruise ship leaves Vanuatu, this system is not expected to be a player in the game, so just expect your usual shower and thunderstorm activity to be scattered around the South Pacific, but apart from that, our cruise leaving Vanuatu should be pleasant. There's about a 2-day buffer zone between this tropical cyclone's passage and that cruise, and I really don't see any reason as to why that cruise is going to be postponed or if there's going to be any impacts to the itinerary in regards to that cruise. And between major forecast models as well, the GFS does have this skirting Fiji, so I would just like to say for Fiji, monitor this situation very closely, but by the time it gets towards Fiji, it is expected to be much weaker. Major forecast models are not really keen on this system making it towards Vanuatu at any significant intensity, so I really don't think this is a major concern warranting panic, but make sure that your preparations and your cyclone plans are all in place right now. And just briefly, I do want to talk about the two low pressure systems offshore from Western Australia. One of them is not a problem well offshore from Indonesia, and in fact, if we do take a look at where the system is here, it is just inside of the Bureau of Meteorology's area of responsibility, which runs parallel to this line here. So anything towards the east of this line is Bureau of Meteorology responsibility. Anything over towards the west of this line is going to be over on Mauritius, the Météo France, I believe it's what they call over on the island of Mauritius, or Reunion, I believe. I'm not 100% sure there, but we are still going to be looking at two systems potentially developing into the central Indian Ocean. One of them developing out here, and another one that is a 25% chance of development now in the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf, tracking out towards the warm waters in the Indian Ocean, and then expected to undergo tropical cyclone genesis somewhere through here, slow moving off towards the west-southwest, and by Monday or Tuesday next week, we are going to be looking at a tropical cyclone beginning to develop properly. And you can see that as we push this wind accumulation map a little bit further out, a brief, weak tropical cyclone is forecast somewhere in this area here. Now, this is not a threat to the West Australian mainland. The reason for that is wind shear increases towards the south of this black line here. So if this system does actually approach Western Australia, which in itself is exceedingly unlikely, it's going to be ripped apart by the time it actually gets to Western Australia. And as such, significant tropical cyclone impacts are completely off the cards at this point in time. Still, a feature that I would like to monitor closely for Western Australia, and just the motion of this tropical cyclone is going to work to enhance shower and thunderstorm activity through the Kimberley region and parts of the Northern Territory as well. And as this system does continue to develop and mature over the next couple of days, we are expecting some pretty significant thunderstorm and shower activity through the Kimberley region, particularly tomorrow afternoon and especially out towards this weekend. Saturday and Sunday are going to be very intense storm days through the Kimberley, parts of the Pilbara and much of the Northern Territory as well. Big thunderstorms expected to continue towards Monday and Tuesday, and we could be talking about some serious rainfall accumulations as well, finally easing off once this tropical cyclone moves out to sea or well away from the West Australian coastline by Thursday or Friday. So this system here is not expected to be a significant threat apart from this enhanced shower and thunderstorm activity through the Kimberley region and the Northern Territory, and we may even see some tropical thunderstorm activity extending down in towards the central west, that they spike temperatures through the southwest of WA, and we may be talking about, particularly on Saturday and Sunday, some very warm days through parts of the southwest of Western Australia. In Perth, we could be talking about some significantly elevated temperatures pushing up into the high 30s, even into the early 40s through parts of, including a thunderstorm outbreak possible with severe thunderstorms now a possibility as well through parts of the central west coastline on Sunday. Again, another feature that we will be keeping close tabs on here on this channel. But that is going to do it for today's weather forecast update. If you have enjoyed it, then please consider leaving a like and subscribe and share the video around as well. This is my second channel. I'll be talking about a lot more of these systems over the coming couple of days. I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.